Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. I'm just coming to you today with a project share for a vintage themed fabric journal that I made. And this project is also going to be auctioned off for a fundraiser for a friend that's coming up on November 10th. So if you're interested in this item, it will be up for sale on my channel on November 10th. So I just wanted to show you really quick. You can see my cover. I've used some really pretty vintage fabric and another little vintage ruffle that hangs down on the front here. And I added this gorgeous vintage doily that's got the crochet edge around it. It's just beautiful. And then a little piece of another doily in like the tan ecru color. And then this really pretty piece I layered on top, and then I added this piece of pearl bling. And on my spine I've got lots of good, I've got little flower, lots of good stuff. Little fabric pieces, ribbon, seam binding. This is like this netting, which is from a crinoline from a wedding dress that I tea-dyed. I love that texture. And then I've got some really pretty ivory textured threads as well. So that's kind of my dangle on the spine. And then you can see I've got this really pretty piece of lace over the spine. It almost looks like a corset. That's what it reminds me of. And then I've got a little tiny spider doily with a vintage button on the very bottom of it. And then when you flip over to see the back, I've got more of the fabric carried over from the front and another piece of vintage doily, and then layered with a white vintage doily and another vintage threaded button. So that's the outside of my book. And then when you open it up, we've got, here's the first double spread. And you can see, here we go, you can see I've got vintage lace, and what I used actually for the base of this is a quilted batted fabric in like this muslin color, and I just love it for my lace journals and lace books and things. So I put a piece of this gorgeous vintage ivory lace, and then I layered it with a crocheted ecru doily, and then another ivory doily, and then another smaller ivory doily on top, and then I put this gorgeous cameo piece on the center of that. So that's like a little cluster there with the cameo, and I love how that came out. And then I've got a satin pocket that was made with some bridal satin, and you can see some lace, some really delicate lace that's framing that. And then I did another cluster with a piece from a vintage doily with another piece from a vintage tablecloth, a flower, and then a little yo-yo and a teeny tiny little baby doily and another pearl iridescent button. And then I've got some antique lace here that is just gorgeous, framing this pocket. And then inside my pocket I've placed a little vintage napkin that was tea-dyed, just to show you could, put hankies in here if this was given to a bride, or you have a hanky collection, you could add some vintage linens in it, whatever little cherished items that you want to place in the pocket. That's why there's a pocket in here. And then on this page, I've also got on the bottom of this page, you can see I've used that same ruffle all the way across and some more antique lace across. And then I've got this gorgeous, it's probably more like a cream, really delicate doily here in the center, and there's some white lace behind that that's covering the entire page. You can see underneath here, beautiful lace. And then I've got vintage buttons all the way around on this doily in like the white and pearly colors, and then I've added another gorgeous white doily here with a little tiny baby doily and another vintage threaded button in the center. I just love working with these vintage pieces. It's my passion. I love making these types of projects. I love using vintage items to make something new that can be treasured and kind of like a keepsake. And then on every page in my book I've sewn a piece of this ruffled lace So each page has a ruffled edge to it as well. So then when you flip to the next double spread, this is what you get, and I've used this gorgeous vintage table scarf, and I just love it. I left some of the muslins, you know, the batted quilted fabric so you can see it underneath, because I do love it as well. And there's a double layer with some antique lace and the ruffled white lace edge. And then you've got some more of the gorgeous antique lace under here, and it's layered. There's another piece of lace, tiny little delicate lace trim there. And what I love too is that you can see the doily hanging down from the page before, because I don't like to keep my books where they're just limited to this, you know, square shape of the pages. I like to have ruffles and things and dangles hanging down and things kind of exploding out of the book. I think it makes it look even more pretty. And so I've got some vintage buttons again on the corners of these pages, the four corners, and I've added in some glass pearls and a couple of the same doilies that are on the cover with vintage buttons on the inside, and then this sweet little delicate white ribbon bow with a pearl in the center. And then you can see the layers of the ruffles. There's 1, 2, 3 on this page. And then when you turn the page again, this is the final double spread. And for this one, I used another square vintage doily that's been crocheted in the cream color, and then I've layered it with another white, kind of like a flower-shaped doily. And then this is actually a vintage brooch that has been pinned onto the doily, so it can easily be removed for whoever ends up with this book. And then you can see there's another piece of cream lace underneath covering this entire page here. And then you can see this really pretty lace on the bottom. It's kind of like a floral with a little dangle hanging down going across both pages. And there's some more vintage buttons on this page as well. And then this last page has got some more layers, so you can see it's a different lace underneath this page in white. And then we've got layers of this beautiful white vintage doily with the crocheted edge, and then we've got this cream that's crocheted edge, but what I love about it is it's got this embroidery, this embroidered flower and scrolly leaves with it, and some dots here, and you can even see there's aging on the doily, and I just love that. I think it gives it a lot more character. And you can see the bottom lace coming up over the top here, and again the ruffles, and then we've got just a little trio of vintage threaded buttons here finishing off that page. So I really hope that you like my vintage themed fabric journal, and like I said, it will be up for auction for a fundraiser on November 10th on my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back again soon with some more videos. Have a blessed weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.